Five, four, three, two, one.
Let's get it.
We're back with the second episode of the Still Nick Fans podcast. I'm your man, Ron, and this is my brother, John.
What it
How's everything
is.
going, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Feeling blessed. How are you?
I can't complain, man. I'm happy to be here. We're dealing with the holidays and getting through everything, and I'm hoping for some more Nick basketball.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, unfortunately, the Knicks weren't on the schedule a lot this week, but they did have one game so far. So, why don't we get into it, brother?
All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. Um, so the Knicks played the Indiana Pacers on Wednesday, and the big question for me was what's going to be the starting lineup? Like, who's going to suit up and show out? Hopefully. I was a little surprised at actually who we went with. Did you think he was going to go with that lineup?
I would say no. I think the only glaring one was Mitch. Like I wasn't too sure about Mitch. Now I'm not sure if are you getting feedback when you speak? Because I'm getting feedback.
I am not getting feedback on my end, but hopefully we can get that cleaned up.
Okay. Yeah, so Mitch was the one that kind of stood out for me. Seeing that, I don't think we talked about it. I know when we did the first episode, we kind of went into like our thoughts around the Knicks, but we never actually came up with our starting five or what we predict, like any predictions of our own. And I know a lot of other podcasts did, but I was extremely surprised with, the direction he took. Seeing that we didn't see a lot of Burke, I kind of had an idea that he wouldn't probably play him. But Bullock did he play him at the 3 or the 2? I think he played him at the 2, right? And then Barrett at
correct. He was using him at the 2 and Barrett was at the 3 for a lot of the game, at least.
Right.
I think it was not. I wasn't that surprised because I do think that you're dealing with young players, and I think Mitch is kind of, I wouldn't say temperamental because you don't hear anything negative about him, but you can tell like the way he carries himself seems very docile. So he might be, little things might get to him that he doesn't express. So it's probably a smart move to give him a shot in the starting lineup to kind of help him feel good about his game and where it's going. Even if that's the good thing about basketball, right? Because if someone's not playing well, you just bring in the guy off the bench, and whoever is, playing the best gets the most minutes. So either way, starting doesn't really matter that much. It's all about how long you're on the court and actually having an impact.
Yeah, it's usually who ends the game, right? It's the most important part. How do you end, and who you're playing the final 4 minutes of the game, especially when the games are close. You really get an idea of who he can rely on. Who he feels he can rely on.
Exactly.
And talk about reliance, right? Like we've seen kind of going with the, the form, you have a point guard and Alfred Payton, kind of like the so-called, what they call him, a veteran,
He's the vet. Yeah.
So
the elder statesman.
Right. So, I mean, I know a lot of Knicks fans weren't happy about that and that move, but I think all in all, he made his decision, and we obviously got a taste of what the lineups are going to look like in the next couple of games. But I was happy to see Mitch on the floor, and I think he deserved it. I enjoyed his preseason and kind of how he put it all out there. You know what I mean? Like you've seen him diving for balls in the preseason and going after it and really taking ownership, and also being very defensive, playing like the right kind of defense, being active, being vocal. And so all those things are great to see. And I'm glad he got an opportunity to start. Not to mention, I think we talked about it last time. When you look at Norland's Noel, he's a lightweight in the center position. He's a lightweight.
Yes, he
I
is.
mean, we talked about it, and that was, you could definitely see that against, against Sabonis when he came right in. I think it was more so the ticky tack fouls were on Alfred Payton, and you got a couple of like ones on Robinson. Although that second one, I'm sure everybody's like, nah, that wasn't a foul.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But like with New Orleans, you could tell like he was just getting moved out of his space. He was just moving.
Yeah. The knock on the Knicks all year is going to be the fact that they don't have, the muscle or, the weight behind the bigs. So they're going to get pushed around. It's just, it is what it is. So, the plan, I guess you have to hit them, whoever you're playing with athleticism and quickness and just outwork them, up and down the court. Because down low, when they start posting up, it's gonna be rough.
Oh, we're gonna
And
run into that a lot.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I know when you look at other rosters, even if their bigs don't have the height, they have the weight. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's like,
Yeah.
what do you do? Like our guys are fairly thin. I mean, I like that Mitchell put on some weight. I think he's gonna hang, but for whatever reason, when I look at Noel's game, I see him more as a forward than to do a center. You know, and I
Hmm.
always have, even when he was in OKC. I just think that they were a fast-paced running team, and they had some really good defensive players around him. When he was in
Yeah.
when he was in OKC. So I think that helped. And plus having Adams there and kind of mix and match with Adams. Adams is a big guy.
That's a real big right there. Yeah, that's he's like a what you would call like a bruiser.
Yeah, it's a true
He
center
goes down
too.
low.
You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
And you don't have to put that much emphasis on Noel to be that defensive stopgap guy, especially against other centers. Because I don't see it. I'm still kind of like, whoa, I think we may need to do
I
some
mean,
things there. So
don't get me wrong. I like it because, when you think about what Mitch brings to the table, albeit that he does it better because his youth and his athleticism is a little bit more superior than Nerlens. But you're not missing too much with Nerlens in there after Mitch for that style of basketball.
right.
But I do think that the Knicks kind of ran into a little bit of a problem by letting go of all of the bigs that they had. Like, having Gooden right now or
You said Gooden?
no, like having like getting somebody like a Drew
Drew
Gooden.
Gooden? Okay, he hasn't been in the league for a
Yeah,
while.
no, well, you know what I mean. But that type of player,
Right.
that's
Well, Taj
like a
Gibson was there, but he was a
Taj
lower
Gibson
end.
works, of
You
course. But
know,
I'm
Bobby
thinking because
Portis.
yeah, but like Taj Gibson, maybe I feel like his price tag is a little bit better than like someone like a Drew Gooden.
Right. Right.
I don't know who equates to Drew Gooden these days, but he's like my complimentary
No,
center.
I
You
get
know what
you.
I
I
mean?
get you. I get you.
Like he's the guy that I would say that they could use.
Well, there's some youngsters out there right now. So I mean, I don't know if they're willing to give some people an opportunity to show, or maybe they got some guys doing some scouting right now just to look at that, because the next couple of games that we run into, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but we're gonna see a lot of this the discrepancies in the center position. You're gonna see that disparity
Hmm.
of like that power center game, and not only that, but just for rebounding purposes. Like I could see us getting out rebounding in the next couple of games, and that's going to probably cost us, especially because
And
nowadays this game, no one's boxing out anymore. So,
right, and but that's the thing. Like, so if you kind of, I mean, I'm as a coach, I'm sure they plan for all this stuff, but I would think that your game plan has to be if we're gonna go up against a team that's gonna out rebound us like that, then we have to make sure we take smart, good shots so that there's not that much for them to rebound. You know what I mean?
yeah, no,
the
absolutely.
less they're the less they're grabbing off the boards, the better for us.
Yeah,
Um, I think that this game was kind of like what do you want to say, a tale of two halves?
yeah,
Because the first half was, I mean, at least to me, everything I could have expected and more.
Mm.
The fact that not only were they hanging with Indiana, who is a well put together team, they've got pieces that have played together, for a few years actually. A lot of the nucleus is the same,
Right.
and they've just gotten better. And then you're hanging with them as far as the way they're playing, their pace,
Mm-hmm.
um, because they set the Pacers. That's what they do. They
They
set
set
the
the
pace. They're
pace.
the
Right.
Pacers.
Right. Right. I see what you did there.
Yeah, well, anyway, but the fact is they were hanging with them and they were scoring and they put up, what was it, 66 points for the first half. That's a great number for the Knicks.
Right.
Um, and I think that they were definitely doing a lot
Mm.
as far as showing them that they could keep up with them, and the way they were moving the ball was great too. It was a little stagnant in the beginning,
Right.
but I think once the a couple shots started to go in, but really what I think, it's unfortunate that your one piece of your lineup is so deficient that you notice how big of an addition Quickly was. When
Mm.
Quickly came into the game, the ball really started moving around.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I don't even think Quickly, as far as offensive contribution, he only had 5 points in 12 minutes, and I think he had one assist, one block, one steal.
Yep.
Like he did a little, yeah, he did a little bit of what he could while he was in there, and then unfortunately he got hurt.
Right.
But it was nice to see the way the ball was moving.
Yeah, I agree. I think they did a really good job starting out, and that first half was as good as it could be. Like I couldn't have asked for. I thought they were in the game. Um, yeah, there's going to be those runs too. And I was actually watching the game with my son, and I was telling him, I was like, listen, the third quarter is going to be a big one for us because you
Mm,
have to be able to you're going to have to stop a run, and then you're going to have to make a run of your own at some point.
mm,
And we just didn't get that. We got a lot of fatigue. I seen a lot of fatigue and a lot of missed shots that were going down in the first half, especially the second quarter.
right.
We didn't get those to drop in the third quarter, and I think that was kind of like our biggest hurdle. Um,
I think that since I've been watching the Knicks, at least the past few years, they've referred to the third quarter as the make or break quarter, because when the Knicks tried to put together a decent team, but they were going bad, they used to get smacked in the third quarter. Come out halftime, third quarter, game over. But then under Phil, he started putting an emphasis on making sure you come out strong with a third quarter effort,
mhm.
and that kind of carried over the past few years. The problem is when they get to the fourth quarter, I guess maybe they spend so much energy in the third that they lose it. So the Knicks' problem is always learning how to finish, right?
Yeah,
Um, and this game was no different because the third quarter, it wasn't good. The Pacers basically kind of ran away and took control of the game at that point.
right,
And then the fourth quarter was just same old Knicks, which you hate to say, but it was.
right,
And you definitely saw how they missed Quickly.
right.
I can't believe it, man. This guy didn't even come into the league for his point guard skills. Not that he isn't a point guard, because he is
Mhm,
traditionally,
mhm.
not traditionally, but technically his background. But it's tough to watch sometimes to see how bad their point guards are.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot of folks are talking about the decision that Tibbs took on starting Burke coming off the half, and having kind of like the point guard by committee role. You know what I mean? And it's like I get it.
Yeah.
He was hot. He was the hot hand, but was it a good play? It's early in the season. He's going to have to try new things. He's going to have to try. If he isn't confident in certain individuals who are on the team, he's going to have to
Hmm.
go a different route. Now the question is, how long? For how long will this be? Is it till we get Austin Rivers back, and in his mind, he already has a 1-2 guard to take? You know what I mean? Like this may be already what he has in mind. You know what I mean?
It could be, yeah, yeah. One thing we could say about Tibbs, I mean, he may be set in his ways in some cases, but he has ways. Like
Right,
he has a plan.
right, right,
He's got a
right.
plan,
And he
and
isn't going to steer away from that plan to like
no,
off kilt, right?
No. That's not what made Tibbs a good
Right,
coach. He knows what makes him a good coach and what he can do to get the best out of his players.
right.
But it also showed you a lot about who he has faith in
Hmm.
because I mean, did DSJ play at all?
No, no, he didn't even get off the bench, which is surprising. You know.
And Nilakina wasn't getting off the bench either until quickly got hurt.
Yeah, I mean, we can make
So
that assumption right
I
now
don't know.
because unless we needed a stop, but it didn't look like he was getting the stops that we were looking for either. Um,
No, you're
Defensively,
right.
he
And
was a little bit, behind. So
he was. And I think like you said, Burks, while they were doing the committee thing, he didn't necessarily seem that comfortable running the point guard situation. He was great off ball,
mhm,
doing his thing in the shooting guard spot. But that brings me to really quickly. I just wanted to touch on Obi Toppin because he's our new rookie and he's supposed to be one of the game changers that we have.
mhm.
He, to me, did not look that comfortable in his first game. However, I do like his effort. One thing I've noticed about Obi Toppin is not only does he provide effort and hustle, but underrated passer.
Yeah,
He's a really good passer. He moves the
yeah,
ball.
no, absolutely. Let's take a look at some of his stats. Maybe I'll bring up something real quick to see where he was as far as stats were concerned. Where we at? Okay.
There he is.
So
So,
what is that? 3 assists? Is that 3 assists?
yeah, I think that's
No,
three
that's no
assists. No,
assists.
3 rebounds.
3 rebounds. So he actually didn't. He had 1 assist, but he did move the ball in the game.
But
Actually,
he
he
was
was
moving the
moving the
ball.
ball.
So I think that it's less about whether he got the ball to people. It's more about the fact that they didn't score when he got them the
Right.
ball because he was moving the
Yeah.
ball.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. Yeah.
And he had one great assist to RJ. I think I saw.
Right.
Yeah,
Listen, I
yeah.
mean, the kid, I mean, he's going to have to learn. And again, I mean, I talked about it in the first episode. It's about being in the spots that you need to be in order to be ready to take advantage of where you're at on the floor. And I think for him, it's just
Mhm.
comfortability. This pace of the game, I think he's just got to get used to the pace of the game. And that's going to happen to young players. But I think it's just a matter of also spending time with the guys, having reps with the guys he's playing with and on,
Mhm.
during the speed of the game in an actual game is different than scrimmages. Like I know from what I've known about scrimmages, they stop and then they go, then they stop and they kind of routine wise they check.
Right.
So this is a little different. The speed of the game goes a lot faster, and when guys are kind of unpredictable, also in nature, right? When you're playing
Yeah.
against your own team, you know what your sets are. So you're
Hmm.
kind of like already anticipating what those sets are going to be and where you're supposed to be at offensively and defensively. When you're in a real game, now you don't really know what someone's going to do. And I noticed that the Knicks were caught off guard a lot backdoor. You know, and that's something they
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
clean up.
No.
So yeah, man, I think Toppin's going to be okay. I still like the pick. I know there were some folks talking about Halliburton. You see, we should have went with a point guard, whatever, whatever. But it is what it is. I thought it was going to be a good pick, and I think I discussed this in episode 1. I thought he was a lot bigger than he was as far as height wise.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
but I think it's still a good pick. I mean, he's getting comfortable with the 3-point line. He's getting comfortable with that shot. It's a little further than college. But I mean, the stroke seems to be okay. It doesn't seem to be like flawed in any way. There are some that went in and out. A couple of his shots. I just think it's if he slows down, if he's able to slow down the game and just get comfortable and be able to just take his time and and let off good shots, I think he'll be okay. I do, however, want to see him in a lot more pick and rolls, which
Yeah, I agree with that. He definitely should be featured in a lot more pick and rolls. They gotta One thing they should do definitely for Obi is get him in pick and rolls. They should get him the ball on the block so he can make his moves and do things down low. Don't keep giving him the ball up top. There's nothing wrong with him catching and shooting, but if the shot ain't there, get the ball back out to your point guard or whoever else and let them dribble and handle. Because I don't want to see him, even though I'm sure he has the ability. I don't think he looks as comfortable dribbling from the 3-point line and trying to make a play or make a move
Yeah.
from there. You know, get that ball away if the shot's not there, and then worry about doing your moves and stuff when you get on the block, because that's where that athleticism and that gift that he has is going to take over, because that's when he's going to start showing who he is. That's what we, at least what he was used to doing in
Right.
Dayton, and that's what made him become a top draft pick. So that's why I eventually, I know they'll get there, but it's that was the first game of the season, working the kinks out. People got to get comfortable, as I always say, and I think I alluded to in the episode one. So it takes about a month or so to get comfortable, and you start to really see what type of team
Right.
you are. So we'll see.
I,
But
I did like
you
the
know,
first half. They ran it. They ran. They ran a lot. They got out in transition. They try to score early buckets. I really enjoyed that. Pushing the tempo. I enjoyed. Again, it's just a learning experience for a lot of these guys. So um, I'm just happy to have basketball back too, bro. Like,
dude, I'm so happy. You don't understand. I didn't think I would be
yeah,
this happy, but I guess now I'm ready for it. Like last time when COVID hit and the whole situation, and with playing in one location in the bubble, I wasn't really caring. I can't tell you how many games I missed. I just
right.
wasn't ready. But now that my Bakers are
That's
back,
right.
and yeah, I'm all in right now. So I'm very, very excited.
Listen, I
Very
had an
happy.
entire day
Um,
today. It's Christmas Day today, and I was back-to-back games. I was like, I'm just gonna watch just because I missed it. I didn't care much about any of the teams, but I was like, whatever. I enjoyed it though.
well, side note, I don't want to talk about it, but then Brooklyn Nets look
Yeah, unfortunately they do.
they look good, man.
They do, they do,
Whatever.
they do.
I tell you, that's the team that they're dead to me, but
Yeah,
they look
yeah,
good.
yeah. Look, my son won't let me forget it. Yeah.
It is what it is, man. But it brings me to one of the, and I'm not that surprised about this because I had a feeling it was going to happen. He has a chip on his shoulder. He was mad that they left him off the first and second rookie teams. He had a vision for himself. He had a vision for himself that he was going to be in contention for the
I'm gonna
rookie
slide
of the
this off
year.
to the
It
side.
did not happen. It did not. That's right. We talking about him. R.J.
RJ
Barrett. R.J.
Barrett.
got a worldwide ghetto pizzle. My dude, R. Jizzle.
Let's go. Yes, he
Um,
was on it, man.
yeah, he did not disappoint, brother, man. I want everybody to see the type of work that this kid does, because I've been reading and hearing about him so much, about how diligent it is about working on
Right.
his game. And he worked with I believe it's Drew Hansen or Drew Hanley. I think it's Drew Hansen. On his form on his shot, and he basically, instead of keeping that close shot, he opens his arms up a little bit so he can see the rim
Hmm.
better, and he has more control of the basketball. And I think it's already starting to show that he is definitely knocking down free throws now. I think he's hitting threes. This is just like, this is the RJ that everybody's been waiting for. This validates taking a guy like this at number 3 overall.
Yeah, no, Barrett was on fire to start the game. And what is he, 6 for 6 from the 3-point line, something like that? It was something crazy.
I don't he at one point, I know that they were going into the second half or end of the first half. He hadn't missed a shot.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know,
No,
I don't
it
care
was
where
like
he was
I think he
shooting.
went 6 for 6, but I think he had three. I think he shot pointers or something
Three
like that.
threes.
Yeah, something like that. I can't recall, but it was a great first half. Second half, it was weird because it almost seemed like having Burke start the game at that point guard position, right, or bringing the ball up. Kind
Mhm.
of, I don't know. It almost seemed like he wasn't able to get the ball to him. You know what I mean? I just did. I just It
Yeah.
seemed like he kind of didn't get started again until like midway through the third quarter. And at that point, it was like, we're now chasing. We're no longer leading. Or in the game, we were chasing at that third quarter. Once Barrett started getting
Yeah.
going. So
And I think that the Indiana really noticing. I mean, Barrett's the guy right now. Like, we gotta kind of slow him down because no one else on the team was really getting their own shot like that. I mean, people were scoring, but Barrett was like either you were setting him up or he was just going to get his.
Right.
So he was the focal point of their defense, and they started to show him a couple different looks. Oladipo started to play, you know, a little bit more clamp down defense on him. It didn't necessarily stop him, but it did slow him down a little bit.
Right.
And Brogdon, who is a very underrated defender at the point guard slot, he was moving. I saw him helping.
Yeah.
Not to mention Miles Turner was definitely
Yeah, he had
a
a
paint presence.
ridiculous amount of blocks.
Oh my God, forget it. Um, yeah, but RJ definitely, he is showing that he might definitely be becoming the man on this
I
team.
mean, it's
Regardless.
about that time, like but again, it's all dependent on like the role in which Tibbs wants them to play, right? Like we
Mhm.
noticed Randall, who had a great game, um, was kind of the facilitator, you know, especially when they got into their sets. So it's one of those things. Is like, do you keep that as the kind of like how we plan to play, or do
Mhm.
we start with the point guard again? So depending on the point guard we have on the floor, but having the point guard set the table and start off with pick and rolls, or start off with kind of screen and pops for Barrett. It's like, because Barrett, when he's driving to the basket, it opens the floor for everyone.
Yeah, no, he definitely. It's a good thing about having a guy like Barrett because he's not afraid to pass the ball and he's not selfish. Like, he'll definitely take the shot and go get his, but when he sees that the defense is collapsing, he moves the
Yeah.
ball. And this is the type of offensive sets that we want the Knicks to run that they haven't really run in the past because of maybe personnel or what have you. Even back when we had Carmelo, that's the ball
Right.
stops. So now they got guys, for the most part, the ball moves around, except for Randall has his moments. But speaking of your boy
Right.
Randall, I was actually pleasantly surprised by the way he was playing this game. It seemed like he knew what the team needed to be successful, and he was trying his best to do it, which I gotta applaud him for. He had some moments where it looked like I was like, oh, he's gonna go Randall ball. This is about to
Right.
happen. But no, he was moving the ball.
Yeah, I mean, he did his thing. I mean, so for that, I'm happy that Randall is finally getting an opportunity to show what he can actually provide for a team. You know, I think
Hmm.
last year is kind of not. I mean, again, I'm not super high on him. I'm not super low on him. You know what I mean? I think he's a
Right.
valuable asset for any team. He's
Hmm.
absolutely an asset for our team. Um, Everyone talks about his turnovers, and of course, that's a given, especially when you're kind of the person who's going to be controlling the game, or be in charge of facilitating in a game. You're going to have between 5 to 6, 5 to 8 turnovers, depending on how capable you are. Um, but again, this is
Right.
also probably his second full year taking on that role. I mean, last year he took it on with Fizz, but you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
he was more playing the point forward, which isn't his thing. And I think Tibbs sees that he's a capable scorer and he has the ability to be a facilitator. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna put you on that post and I'm gonna make you work from there. And then you make the game, you make the decisions. The game will decide it for you, right? You hear Tibbs say that a lot. So
Right.
I think he trusts in Randall's decision making, and I think he did a great job. I mean, especially the first half. I mean, he did an amazing job. I'll probably let me go to the stats again to see where he was.
Right.
Um,
And I think that the good thing about Randall now, which what, as Nick fans, we're tough on our team because we want them to be good. They've been bad so long, so many years of watching them not make the playoffs and being the butt of the jokes and everything. But in fairness to Randall, Randall was a part of the same team with no structure last year. Fizdale was a great guy in the clubhouse, a father figure type coach.
Yeah,
Everybody liked him, but the Knicks had no structure. They had no set offensive schemes that they were running. So you figure, let me give Randall the ball and see if he can kind of orchestrate the offense. He's not
right.
a point guard. You're just giving him the ball, making him put guys in positions he's not used to doing. Now, under Thibodeau, if you do the same thing with him, but say we're going to run these sets and guys know where they got to be, then it's
Yeah.
easier for Randall. Okay, I know I should be making my pass here, or I should do this if he does that. That's that doesn't make him look like the bad guy here. He has some structure, something a plan
Yeah,
is
I
in
mean, if you
place.
look at the last two games, the last preseason game and this game, I mean, he looked comfortable. He looked real comfortable within the scheme of the offense. And this is another thing. Seeing that we're so light at center, he was playing pretty good defense when he was in there against
Yeah,
Turner
yeah, I
and
noticed that.
Sabonis. And they had him on Sabonis once the two guys got in foul trouble. Once Mitch and Noel were in foul trouble, they had him on Sabonis, and um, I think he did a feasible job. Being
Yeah, I mean, he was doing a little better than the other guys
being
because Sabonis was
being 6'8",
food, man. He was
6'9",
eating.
bro. Come on, and Sabonis is a true center, with a lot of
Right.
skill. You know what I mean? So I thought he did a feasible job being there, and I'm sure he wasn't comfortable, but he did his job, man. I mean, look at those numbers. Those 35 minutes. So Tibbs is playing them. Tibbs is also playing RJ Barrett,
Yeah,
34 minutes. Burke,
yeah,
32
yeah.
minutes. So you're seeing what we're going to see a lot of um, in games. But yeah, I thought it was a great job. I like the rotation. I like Alec Burke coming off the bench to giving those young kids an opportunity to play with someone who, like you don't have to bring in guys and expect them to be the one scoring. You know what I mean? I think Alec
Right.
Burke took on a lot of
Yeah.
that in their first game, and I want to see a lot more of that. I think he did a great job.
And until he gets here, now when I say he gets here, I
Hmm.
mean Austin Rivers. I'm on record. I'm saying right now that Alec Burks was at this point their best free
Hmm.
agent signing. I think he helps the team a lot. So I think we're going to see
Right.
more from him, and I'm hoping that going forward, when Austin Rivers is healthy, he's just going to give the Knicks that extra boost that they're going to need, and it's going to take the team to the next level as far as being a functioning team that can compete with everybody. Not that they're a playoff team, but just a team that can
So
compete.
what are your thoughts
Um,
on Austin Rivers and when he returns? What are your thoughts about around what position he's going to be playing? Because I hear a lot of people talking about he's a two, he's a two. And what do you think? You think Tibbs is going and looking at Austin and saying, "Hey, I want you to run this team. I want you to potentially start." Especially with Quickly out. Now, here's the question: we didn't see much of uh, Smith Jr., right? DSJ. We didn't see much of him at all. And we didn't see anything of him. And we didn't see much of Linkina. Linkina came in.
mhm.
How many minutes did Linkina play? Let's take a look. Um, Linkina, Frank played 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Uh,
That says a lot when you don't have a point guard out there. You're only giving Ntilikina 5 minutes. Oh,
yeah.
man.
So I mean, like that's one of
Yeah.
those things is that you're like, oh, okay. Now, do you think Austin's gonna be the second point guard off the bench, or you see him taking over for Alfred Payton when he returns?
Honestly, I
Well,
think
quickly's
if
out. We know that. That's a pinch hip, right? So,
yeah, quickly is out. I mean, he has the
right.
the hip pointer thing. I mean, I don't know what that's the thing. He's new to the team. We don't know how his body works, how he heals and stuff. It'd be great if he's able to play tomorrow. But if he's not, then that's going to be interesting. But I think that in a perfect world, at least my perfect world, quickly gets the keys. So he becomes the starting point guard. And I think Austin Rivers could be the shooting guard coming off the bench or even starting alongside of him, right? And then um, at times when Quickly is getting spelled and getting a rest, I think Austin Rivers will be more of the facilitator. I think he'll just take the role. But I think unless something changes drastically with Ntilikina and DSJ, uh, I think that's the course of action. And I think, you know, that other guy, he may have to
Yeah,
get out of here.
I'm gonna say that when they brought in Austin Rivers, and I'm just jumping off the roof right now, right? I think when they brought in Austin Rivers, I think in my opinion, that was Tibbs' guy to begin with. I think Tibbs was going with him at the start
Yeah.
the games. And I think for whatever reason, he got injured and he was like, okay, I'm gonna go to my next best thing. And I'm gonna go with a guy who has experience in the NBA and has played at this level. And that's why he went with Alfred Payton. But I think in my hearts of hearts, I think he was going with Austin Rivers. You know, from the moment he got on the floor, from the moment
Mhm.
he took the mic and the way he spoke to the press, I think I
Mhm.
think Tibbs, that was his guy. I think Tibbs still thinks that I still
You know,
think
I
that that's Tibbs'
yeah,
guy coming into the season. He just happened to get hurt.
it makes sense.
So I wouldn't be surprised that once Austin gets back and is considered healthy, a healthy, and won't be scratched and comes in, I think we're going to see him in the starting position unless, and I'll say this now, unless Quickly is back, right, and is healthy and continues to do the kind of work that he's done in the last two, or even the little bit that we've seen him here. We've seen the tempo that he brought to the game, just a little,
Right.
12 minutes. He played 12 minutes. You know what I mean? And within those 12
Yeah.
minutes, you can see that the kid, um, he has enough to get the team into sets. Yeah, they're running fast pace when he's in the game. So 5 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist in 12 minutes. I could take that.
Yeah, I mean, and he didn't even, have enough of a shot to really get comfortable out there. This is him just playing. Like, give me the ball, I'll do what I do, and that's what you get. And then don't let him get comfortable. Once he gets comfortable, then you start to see
Right.
what he really is about. Um, and honestly, my ideal lineup, being from the short time I've actually seen them playing, would be Quickly, Rivers, Barrett, Randall, and
Yeah.
Mitch. That would be because I think that is a pretty explosive lineup. I think everybody on the court would be able to do something. Um, and I also
Mm.
think that it's interchangeable, right? Because if Quickly has been running the point guard role pretty good, if he even wants to transition into the shooting guard role, Austin Rivers can just take it from there, so they can go back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, I like that lineup. I don't necessarily like it to start because you're gonna lack some defensively. You're gonna lack because you got 2-6-3 guards there, and you see how that works in other places. And you always run into a situation where you have to guard larger players, and you get put in post. So am I lagging?
I think, yeah, you might have dropped a little bit because I'm starting to notice that your video quality has gone. I'm not getting you at the moment.
Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing for now and let's see if I come back. Does that work a little better? Or am I still dropping out?
Not not quite as of yet, but you know what we can do? We can get you. Oh, there you
Is
go.
okay. Is
There we
my
go.
audio
Yeah,
back
yeah,
though? My audio good?
yeah, yeah. No, your audio's good. You're
Okay.
back.
As long as my
Okay.
audio doesn't go out, I'm cool. So yeah.
All right.
So yeah, so when I look at Rivers and I want to look at quickly, you got 2-6-3 guards. They're strong, but still size. There's always a size difference there. I like Burke and what Bullock bring defensively because they're both 6'6", with larger wingspans. They're going to be able to defend a little better. But again, I could see that lineup happening when because they're interchangeable. I could see that happening at times. But I still think that Tibbs, if if Quickly is out for any period of time, I really do think that once Rivers comes back healthy, he's going to take on that starting role. But let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see how that works.
I just really want to see them both on the court at the same
Right.
time. I know it can happen in the course of the game. It doesn't have to happen in the starting
Right.
lineup. And I don't know exactly how Tibbs is going to run his starting lineups going forward because you know how I forget which Nick coach was famous for that, but sometimes he would start the game with a certain lineup and then coming out of the second half and be a different lineup, and so you just don't know exactly what he's going to do, what he's thinking.
Yeah. Well,
But I will
we
tell
do
you
know
one
what he's thinking about certain players. That's
that yeah, not playing DSJ and giving the Lakina limited minutes and only really putting him in there when Quickly got hurt says a lot.
Yeah.
And maybe it says something to them that hey, listen, he's looking at me a certain way. I got to step my game up. I got to have good practices. I got to show him something so he starts playing me more.
I
Whatever
really
works,
don't know
man.
if that's the case. I just think that right now he's at the point where he knows who he wants to go with, and unless someone gets injured or is in foul trouble early, you're not going to see those guys. I just don't see it.
You could be right. I mean, that is the Tibbs way.
Yeah,
I'm just hoping a little bit.
but
It's not.
he's been honest about it. He said it from the beginning. He says we're
Yeah,
going to need every player. When your name is called, you just got to be ready. So take it for what it is.
yeah,
There are reasons why Ntilikina didn't get an extension. You know what I mean?
right.
But I think he has to play
Well,
through that. He may get a
he,
shot.
he, we got to see what he's made of. This is going to show, the stones he has. If he's temperamental, if he says, you know what, this doesn't matter. I'm gonna do what I got to
Right.
do. And you'll see me on the
Right.
court. Hopefully, that's his
Yeah,
mentality.
and it's his fourth season, right?
But
This is
what?
fourth
Which
season.
season? Fourth? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think yeah. Um, but let's speak of who did
Yeah.
play. That other guy. Uh, I'm so done with him, man. I am so done with Alfred
Well,
Payton.
here let's talk about. I mean, we talked a little bit about the Pacers game. So should we go into our segments?
I mean,
Should we go into our segments? Let's go into our segments. Let's go. So we're gonna introduce a segment called Nick Stock right now,
mhm.
and let's just talk about let's first talk about um, who. Well, I think you talked about it. You talked about your Nick Stock high was RJ Barrett, right?
RJ Barrett was the man in this particular
Yeah.
game. He showed me the promise that I was looking for.
Yeah.
And who did you think was that
Well,
guy?
I'm a believer because I'm wearing a shirt, so I'm a believer. Trust that I say. But I'm gonna give my Nick stock to Randall. I think his stock has risen in the Knicks
Mhm.
uniform at least, and I think as the season continues and we go into going into the deadline and sometime in March, depending on where we at. I could
Mhm.
see there may be some potential there in the future, for other teams that may be vying for a playoff position or playoff spot that may need some offense or, maybe need somebody of his caliber to join their team, depending on injuries and COVID and all of that. So I
Mhm.
want to say his stock is growing. Um, this it's a very limited amount of it's one game, so you know what I mean. Officially one game, so but we'll see what that looks like. Next week when we go on to episode 3, we'll have what is it about 2 or 3 games under our belt, possibly.
And maybe I think it's maybe
Yeah.
there might be 4 games slated.
Let's go. Well, I'm gonna go check. Let's go check.
Yeah, let's
See
see
what
what
we
we got
got
going
going
on
on
here.
there. Here we go.
Because I think Randall definitely. I'm not the biggest Randall fan, but he's been playing good. I'm going to give him that. And anything he does to help my Knicks, I'm happy about it. So
That's a true fact right there. So let me
yeah,
go
don't
to
play the Randall ball no more. Let's move the
yeah, I
ball.
mean he moved the ball. We could take a look at his stats right there. 35 minutes, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, 17 points. That's a great stat line. And if he continues in that pace, I could see that happening a lot more. But yeah, let me go to their schedule real quick. Yeah, so here we go. We got 76ers tomorrow. We got the Bucks. And then we got Cavaliers. And then we have Raptors.
Yeah. Okay. So we got. All right. So look at that. I mean, that's a lot of games,
Yeah.
bro. Oh, actually, look at that. Tomorrow, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. That's 5 games.
So
Wow.
we would have had seen 4 games before our next podcast. Because we come on every Friday, y'all.
Correct.
So just so you know, we're coming on every
Yeah.
Friday. We'll probably, post something tonight, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. No. This is going to be a great little barometer to see what these Knicks are made of. Nice little 5 game
And we got
stretch.
playoff teams here. Like outside of the Cavaliers, we're gonna run up against the 76ers, the Bucks, and the Raptors. And then we see the Pacers again. That's a tough lineup.
Mm.
That's a tough schedule.
Wow. 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 Wow.
So let's not. We're gonna come to that in a few, right? I just wanted to see that we got a lot of games coming up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot of
Wow.
games. So we'll come back to this
Jeez.
real quick. Let me stop sharing for right now. But I was talking about Randall Stock, and I would play a highlight reel, but I don't want to go there right now. I think it's still premature of me, but I'm gonna say I did like his performance. I thought he did great. And if he continues this, there's a possibility that his stock will keep rising. But for as of right now, today, his stock is rising for me because in my mind, RJ Barrett ain't going nowhere. You feel me?
Yeah, yeah, no, I got you. RJ's looking like the man. You
Yes,
looking like the
sir.
man. Yeah, go ahead, RJ. Do your
Yeah,
thing,
man.
buddy. Um, yeah. So we'll table that because I'm gonna watch Randall and see what he does going
Yeah.
forward. But you know what? That was the
Oh,
good,
yeah.
and the risers. There's always the people that are
Oh,
falling,
wait.
and
Don't say it. Let me guess. Let me guess who you thinking of. Um,
huh?
am I right or am I wrong?
Oh man, listen, it was it that obvious, Mr. Alfred
Yeah.
Payton. Let me tell you something. I don't know what happened with this guy because I got, a friend of mine. He loves, when rookies come into the league. He doesn't watch as much now, but he used to love watching college basketball. He always talk, oh man, you got to watch this guy, Alfred Payton. Let me tell you, when he gets into the league, I'm talking about triple doubles. This guy does this. He's a great defender. Oh man, Alfred Payton. I used to see him with the crazy hair. I'm like, oh, who's this dude? And you know what? When he came into the league with Orlando, he was doing a little of that. He had some nights where he dropped triple doubles. He wasn't the greatest shooter, but he would give you rebounds, assists, and he would get to the
Well, I
rim.
tell you, I mean, the first year with Orlando, he averaged a decent amount of points per game.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. This is who he was. This
Right.
is what I expected from him after I found out this is what he really is. He can't shoot that great, but hey, he does so much of the other little things that each night your team is better for it.
You
But
think the confidence
where was
You think
that
the
on?
confidence has kind of spiraled out of control? I think the confidence, like I have noticed that he's passing up shots.
It could be. It could be that they all know the deficiencies of the team, and shooting is probably the
Mm.
biggest deficiency. It's part of the reason why in the preseason teams were playing zones on them, and the Knicks
Right.
couldn't score. Um, so I think maybe he might be a little timid, a little tentative about a shot. But one thing I tell you about Alfred Payton is he's a great finisher. He gets to the lane, he gets to the rack.
Well,
His
that's what I
layups are
mean,
good.
though.
He can
I'm
score.
not talking about his 3-point shots or giving up
Although he did hit
that was
one
the only
three.
three he took, right? Wasn't he 1,000%? So you got to give him that
Yeah,
credit for that. But I'm just saying, I mean, we're
yeah,
talking about
yeah.
stock going down, right? So his stock is down right now. That's what we're talking about. So as of this point, at least for Knicks fans, I think all Knicks fans are right now at this point are kind of like, oh, can we move on from this guy, right? Um, I
I'm one
agree.
of
I
them.
agree. There's parts of that of his game right now that hasn't really translated in a Nick uniform. You know what I mean? Because his Orlando days were not that bad. Um, I'm not sure if he made any stops anywhere else. I can't recall. But I only remember him in Orlando. Um,
True.
but yeah, it seems to me when he was talking about like his layup game is on point. I also noticed that he's given up ball.
Oh, actually,
Okay.
sorry to cut you off. It was in New Orleans. That's how him and Randall became buddy buddy. That's why they have that
Okay.
mix. The passing between the two, they
Okay.
played together
Okay. So
there.
that must have been his only
Yeah.
uh kind of like area. Like so he went to New Orleans and then came to New
Right.
York. But
Yeah.
like his layup game is sufficient. I think it's sufficient. And I just think that like he'll get to the rack and then he's looking for a pass instead of just like getting what they're giving you. And this is where quickly is like stock is rising. This is why quickly stock is rising because he's taking what the defense is giving him. He's literally saying, "Okay,
Hmm.
what do I got? I got you cutting off my passing lane and you giving me the hoop. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it all day." And that's where Alfred is doing too much of the like. It's almost like he's in his own head. It's almost like he's at the rack and he's like, you know
Yeah.
what? If I'm gonna throw up 3 layups in a row, I'm gonna get looked at sideways. You know what? You won't if you score the buckets. Got to make
Got
the
to make the
buckets. So that
buckets.
means that you have to get that mid-range game going, right? We know you ain't efficient from the 3-point line, but you can't keep coming up short on a pull-up, you know, 10-footer. You gotta be able to hit
Right.
those
Right.
because you hit two of
Yeah.
those and you get your layup game going. Now you're thinking now we're looking at you a little differently, you know, especially Knicks fans. So if you're listening, so
Plus, it helps his confidence.
if you're listening, Alfred, do the damn thing, man. Don't worry about what people were saying about you, and get to the rack, draw the fouls. You got to be aggressive at the rim, score some buckets. If you score buckets, I don't think the Knicks are gonna care, or Knicks fans are gonna care. And I know Tibbs is gonna like it. So do your damn thing. But right now, your stock is low, as my boy and my guy, my brother Ron just put out there. The stock is low at this point.
Yeah, if you start doing that, Alfred, I'll become a believer again, and I'll say, you know what, you do
He's
what
a
you do,
server.
keep
He would
doing it.
be a
Let's see that.
serviceable
Let's
point
see that.
guard. I don't know about a starting point guard, but a
Yeah,
serviceable one.
I'll be happy with it. I'll
True,
be
true
okay. Yeah,
statement.
yeah. Um. So is there anybody that you're thinking about that maybe,
Mm, yeah, I mean,
no?
you should.
Because
Let's. I'm sure you could definitely. I think you could probably predict this one, but
I think I have an idea of who it might be because it was kind of glaring. I don't know if Thibodeau had planned it to be so glaring, but he kind of
all
made
right,
it
let's go.
obvious.
Let's go with it. You want to throw his name out there before I pop this up?
I'm gonna say Frank and
You got it,
Ntilikina.
brother. You got it. You got it. You got
Okay,
it. There goes
all
Frank.
right.
And he's there looking kind of confused. He's like, what the hell? What am I doing here?
Hmm.
Um,
You know what he's looking like? LeBron was
LeBron was
right.
right.
No.
Listen, I like Frank's game. Um, I think he's someone who has potential, could still have potential. I just think he's just lost in the shuffle. I think he's so lost in the shuffle that he isn't going to get any opportunities unless someone gets injured. Unless, and I really think just the injury bug, to be honest, is the only opportunity he's going to get with the Knicks. Um, I'll be surprised, and if Tibbs decides to play him more or play him at the two, I'll be extremely surprised. But we'll see, man. It hasn't translated. You know what I mean? His workouts look great.
No,
You know
no.
what I mean? He hasn't played much of preseason. He didn't play much in the preseason. He didn't show much in the preseason, and pretty much quickly just
No.
outplayed him for the spot. So
I'm kind of wondering what's going on with him. Because we've seen what Ntilikina can do, and yes, we know that his shot it needs to improve a little bit, but he's shown some glimmer of a jump shot from the corners and different spots. But it's just his game overall. I feel like something's wrong. Like his defense, his effort, it's not what we're used to from Frenchie. Like Frenchie is like we want to equate him to a lockdown
Mhm.
defender from the guard spot. And he just hasn't seemed like he's been into the
Well, it's
games like that.
also he plays better when he's starting. I noticed. I noticed when he comes off the
Mm,
bench, he comes in cold. So if you're listening, Frank, if you're listening, get on a bike. You're sitting there. Get on a bike. Get ready to be in a game. You know what I mean? Be warmed up because when you come in cold, you play like trash. Like
that's
you
the
got to you
Dennis
got to
Rodman
get on the
technique. Yeah,
bike.
get on the
You know what I
bike.
mean? Get those muscles flowing. Get that energy right because when you get in, you got to be ready. You can't just be like work up a sweat and then start playing hard. No, you got to play hard from the get. And it always seems like he got to work up a sweat. And dude, he only played five. What is it? What was it? 5 minutes? Was it 5 minutes? Like
Oh,
you ain't gonna work
five
up that much of
minutes.
a sweat in 5 minutes, especially when you're getting beat back door on multiple plays.
Take the Takes you like 2 minutes to take your
I'm
warm ups
saying,
off. I mean,
man,
like,
like I just and this is what I'm coming like that. I don't see it happening for him unless someone gets injured. What are your thoughts?
um, I think that he is going to have to show his value once again. It feels like I feel bad for him because one thing about Frenchie, I feel like every year
Right.
he has to prove himself again. But we know that he can be a very good defender. I mean, we saw what he did to certain NBA players, and I mean, there's that infamous game when he played Harden, where he had Harden locked down every time he actually had to take control of
Right.
of defending him. But that's his bread and butter. You get in the game, maybe the offense is not there, or maybe you don't feel comfortable. Get in the game, take control of whoever you're guarding, you know, play great defense, whatever you got to do to alter their shot. You don't have to get a steal. It doesn't have to be that impactful. You just have to
Right.
stop the guy from scoring. Okay, you make him take a bad shot, that
Hmm.
shows your value. And if he does that, then Thibodeau is going to be like, listen, this he changes the game. I mean, he may not be shooting well, but if I need him to get on somebody and
Hmm.
guard him and stop that guy, this is my guy.
Right.
That's what he needs to do. Just focus on one thing. Focus on your defense first. The other stuff will come because you're going to start feeling good about who you are. You're going to get comfortable, and the rest of the game is just going to flow. These guys are in their head too much right now. But it's the beginning of the
Right.
season, so I expect it with a new coach and a new look on. That everybody's
Hmm.
got expectations on the Knicks now.
Well,
Maybe
well, we're
they
I
they
think
feel
we're
like it's a
exaggerating a
different
bit.
team.
Everyone,
Well,
Nick fans, right?
well, Knick fans,
that was that was extreme there, Ron.
but no, actually, it's true. Uh, People who aren't Knick fans have expectations too. They think the Knicks are going to stink. So there's
Unfortunately,
there's
right?
that.
And I hate to say it, but it's the truth. It's just
Yeah,
what it
yeah,
is right now. We're working out of the cellar, right? We're trying to build ourselves out of the cellar. So, but I think you're right. I think I think it's just about him being ready to come into games, right? Because he came in the game,
hmm
he wasn't ready. He just wasn't ready. You know what I mean? And Tibbs was like, okay, goodbye. And it's like at that point, if you don't got
yeah,
confidence, if the coach ain't got confidence in you when you come in the game and you ain't prep and you ain't ready and you getting beat, backdoor, those backdoor plays are killers, man, because they weren't anything
yeah,
special. It was just like you're getting beat by guys who
yeah.
came in ready to play. So
Yeah, you don't want that. That's not what you want to see from a team that is working hard in practice on their defense and trying to do things to affect the game. The back door is like the easiest. Like you don't want that.
at the
That's
very
that's not
least,
a
take
not a
away the
good look.
back
No.
door. I'd rather you give up the 3-point
Yeah,
shot
yeah,
or a
yeah,
jump shot than give up the backdoor layup. Like you don't do that. You know what I mean?
yeah. No, yeah, yeah. Yeah. That's that's
Yeah, you
that's
don't want
really
easy
too
buckets.
easy, too easy, too
But
easy.
what do you think
So
about Knox before we? Yeah, go ahead. Go
before
ahead.
we
What were you?
No, I was gonna say before we wrap up and get into like the schedule and maybe little little predictions as to what we think they're going to do in these next couple games. Was there anybody else that you wanted to touch on that maybe we didn't really speak about yet? And there you go, Mr. Kevin Knox. What do you think about his
I
game?
just don't think he wasn't in the flow of the game. He just wasn't in the flow of the game.
I
It
agree.
wasn't for any particular reason. And I don't think it was him either.
No, I
Like I
don't
heard
know.
some people saying like, oh, that he's reverting back to his old ways and he's like, you know, because he's temperamental or whatever, like all of these things. And I'm sure not too many people know
Mhm.
him personally who say that. You know what I mean? But I just
Right.
think he wasn't getting the touches, right? And he wasn't getting the touches in the spots where he needed to get them. And uh,
Mhm.
I just noticed that, like, his defense was lacking, though. That's one thing I could say. That even though he wasn't in a
Yeah.
part of the offensive scheme where he wasn't getting going, his defense should be better than that. Like, he should not be like that fall by the wayside. Like, he has to take
Yeah.
ownership of that at the very least, and look at that game film and say, look, I messed up. I got to come back a little stronger the next time around because, dude, you're what is he, 6'7", 6'9"? No, he's probably taller. He's
Mhm.
6'9".
No, I
6'9". He
think
plays a
he's
small
6'9".
forward
He's six
position right
nine.
now. You know, like you should he should be taking advantage of that. He may have gotten one block. I'm not even sure. Do you mind if I'm gonna pop in his stat line to see.
No, no, by all means, man. I think the thing about him that I thought was good was he was still trying to be aggressive. There was one play where he did a little bit of a move and went to the lane to try to dunk it. The ball went straight up in the air, but the point is he was still trying to be
Mm,
aggressive and do things. So he's got to keep doing that. He's got to keep taking his game to the defense. Don't just sit back and wait for
right,
somebody to get you open for a 3-point shot. Get yourself in the course of the offense. Keep doing different
right.
things to
Yes, I
get
mean,
shots up.
he had four game. I mean, if you go right into that game, I would have to probably. I'm not really sure where I have to go to see if he got any blocks or any defensive stats, but I don't know. I mean, he may have had a block or two, but I just think like it didn't seem like he made an impact defensively, in my opinion. You know, so
Hmm. No, he definitely he. It was a very I would say lackluster game, Kevin Knox, especially after the last two preseason games he had going into the to that. We was hoping that he was going to get out to a nice fast start and keep improving on what he's been doing, but you know,
it's one
uh,
game.
it's still early.
It's
It's
one
still
game.
early, and yeah, like we got a lot of basketball
That
yet to
is one
play.
kid that I want to
72
see.
game season.
Um, I want to see a lot of screen set for. I want to see him in some screen and rolls. Um, because I think he's one of those guys who
Hmm.
can kind of he has the potential to get to the basket. You know what I mean? And now that he put on some weight, he looks a little stronger. I'm hoping he stays away from that floater. And if he takes that out for his repertoire and goes in a little stronger, I mean that one towards the back end, it didn't count for anything, but that dunk and him going to the hole, like that should have been a foul. The first one that he went for that didn't get called. And then that second one he finished at the
Right.
rim. That's the kind of knocks we want to see, But you have to put him in positions to do that. So he
Yeah.
has to be in
Yeah.
some screen and rows, you know what I mean, in order to get there. Um, I just
He's got to put it in his mind. Take every time you think you're gonna
mhm,
about to do that floater, take one more dribble and be prepared to take an extra,
right.
that next step for the
Yep.
layup to get a little closer to the rim. Because the guy, I mean, he's 6'9" or whatever, and his arms are long as hell. I'm sure
Yeah.
that it's not hard for him to get to the
Look,
rim
he isn't
and
small.
try to put
He's
up a
got
layup.
some hops to him. You know what I mean? When he's thinking about it, like when he's going for it. I like that sort of intensity. If we could see some of that in the next couple of games. I also want to see him matched up against Giannis. There's something in my head. Like I want to see him matched up defensively against someone who's going to bring it to him. Also, I want to see him against Simmons. I want to see. I want to see his like if Tibbs is. I don't know if Tibbs would be, but if he was like kind of like almost insane and be like, "Yo, I want to see what you could bring," just get him in a game that way, like just to see, just to like test him. Say you up for the challenge? Like challenge him. Are you up for this sort of challenge? Because I think with that wingspan at that length, you want him to go up against their best players. Other teams. You want him to go up defensively against a LeBron or defensively against a Giannis, and guys who are bigger guys who aren't going to take him off the dribble like a Harden. Like I wouldn't want to see him against Harden. You know what I mean? Just because he's too agile.
Right.
He's gonna. But like guys like Simmons, I think he could hang with him if he challenges himself. I would like to see that.
And those are actually two good people for him to go up against because of their body type and the way they play basketball, but they're not the greatest shooters, right? So it puts you at a little better of a defensive mindset. Okay, if he's this far out, I don't really have to worry about that. My game is trying to keep him as far away from the basket as possible.
You see where I'm
Because once
going
they
with
get
it?
into the
You see
lane,
where I'm going with it, my friend?
then
But listen, because you have to get you have to be able to like get those. You got to get that experience in your in you got to get that in your bag first. Get that experience until because then you're gonna run up against Durant, and that's a beast, right? So can you go from that to then take on someone like Durant, who is going to torch you for 40, but can you slow him down a bit? Can you in vital areas and vital parts of the game? You know what I mean? Obviously,
it's all easier said than done because these guys, even though they can't shoot, Simmons and Giannis, especially Giannis, they still
right,
find a
but
way
they're
to get to the
strong,
rim as
right? But
much
then
as they
that's
want,
also the
man.
challenge, right? Like at least for a young kid like Knox, who's in his third, fourth season right now, he has to step up. And what way to get him into the game and say, you're going to be a vital point. You're going to be a vital part of our defense, against these guys. And, I think you may have to play him more minutes coming off the bench. You come off the bench and then you like automatically you're on these guys. And depending on how you do it, depends on how many minutes you're going to get that day.
Yep. That's how it is. Listen, regardless of whatever, we said it before, the identity of this team is going to start with the defense. And they're going to have to show. I mean, one, they got the other thing on their backs. It's like the monkey on your back. You're from New York, so we expect New York to be a tough team, that plays hard-nosed defense. So they got to continue to work on those principles, and every man on the team's got to come in there with that same attitude. That's the only way you make a good team. Everybody's got to come in trying with that same effort, get their hands in the passing lanes, cut off them backdoor plays and all that stuff. Just continue to do their part, and they'll be fine. They'll be fine. They got a lot of youth, they got a lot of exuberance, and they should be able to. The league has changed a lot over the years, so there's a lot more younger players now, but they should be able to run some of these teams, up and down the court and get some type of advantage. They should be quick. Yeah, so we'll see what happens, man. But you know what? If we take a look at the next few games, they have on their schedule, I'm wondering what you think they
Where,
can
where,
what are the
where are we
prospects
at with
here?
time
Because
right now?
that doesn't look too good.
We're almost at an hour. Are we good?
Yeah, no,
Over.
we're
Okay.
over
So yeah,
by a
let's
little
let's
bit.
go into
So
this last
we should,
one right here. I mean,
yeah, take a look at this
yeah,
and
for sure. Let me share this
see
real
what we're
quick.
thinking. Because
Mm-hmm.
next game up is the
76ers,
Sixers.
right? That's a
Yeah.
matchup problem automatically, right? You got Embiid who went for like 30 or something the other day. So I expect him to come out and like dominate the ball. You know what I mean? And that's going to be a problem.
Oh,
I think Mitch is going to try his best to kind of like battle down there. But if he gets caught into these early ticky-tack fouls, we're in trouble because there is no way that Nerlens Noel is going to put any stop to that. There's no way. I don't see it. If he surprises me, shit. Like I don't know what to say, but I just don't see it.
Well, I think this is actually really good for them because I think these next two games, are they're going to go up against some size, and I think that's going to show them, okay, this is our personnel, this is how we fared against these two teams. Maybe we need to put a couple things together and maybe just go
Well,
get
to be
us,
honest,
another
you could
big to come
find
off the
some
bench.
guys on the
'Cause I
free
think they
agent
need another
market
big.
right now. To be honest, there's some young kids who didn't get drafted.
You maybe, yeah.
Um, um, I could be wrong, but I know there was this kid from Seton Hall who was about 7'1". He played with our guy Miles Powell. I
Hmm.
forget the kid's name, Romero or something like
Right.
that. But the kid was like decent. Like, I mean, like he ain't gonna wow you, but he also isn't like slow of foot. So you can bring somebody like that in who's a big
Hmm.
body, who's probably already heavier than Mitchell Robinson, you know. Um, but like you got to look, you have to be able to find someone in the free agent market, even a young kid coming off of college who has some weight to him and some size, because you need a serviceable one. You don't need
It
a
may
guy
be,
who
it may be the
has
way.
tenure or is a vet. You don't need that. You just need a kid who's going to come in and give some time to Norris and well, man. Like the kid's, he's gonna get pushed around, man. I mean, I think he's a good player. I think he's a good player, but I just think like against these big centers, Brooke Lopez, Brooke's a beast in the
Yeah,
block,
man.
man. The people
Yeah,
sleep on Brooke.
gonna,
Brooke is this
it's not gonna be good.
no.
I, it's not gonna be good. I do think that you're right. That I mean, there still are some free agents out there that Knicks could look at to bring in.
You
But
gotta get
the
rid of.
other thing about
But
that
they
is you
cut
bring
two
in a free
players, didn't
agent,
they?
you're gonna have
Didn't
to
they
cut
cut
somebody.
Powell
Yeah.
and
So
they cut Brown
yeah,
and
but
they cut a couple. Right.
and Michael Kidd Gilchrist they let go. But they did still keep. They still have like a 15-man roster,
Right,
and
right,
that
right.
15 is the
We
number.
have to
So
look at that then
you
because we
know,
don't even is Brazdinkas and Theo Pinson are the ones who are on the team. Is Theo Pinson is holding that
he's
last
still on.
spot.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Correct, correct. So we'll see what happens. But the other thing is, the Knicks still do, I think they have, if not the most, it's the second most. I can't tell you right now,
Yeah,
but they got
12,
about
12 million
15 to
left.
19 million of money.
Yeah.
I think this is 12. Um, I think they got a little money left, so they can absorb a contract of someone on another team that could be a serviceable big man. And they could
Mhm.
also use that, how they've been trying to get draft capital. So this is another opportunity for something like
You
that if they
know,
choose to
when they
go that route
usually
early.
shoot
They may
15
not.
and they have two on standby. So I think Spellman's on a standby, right?
Yeah, Spellman
All
is
right.
holding the
So
bags and
you
giving
move
water to
Spellman.
people on the side.
He's not a serviceable center. And at that point, he's basically a power forward, and
No, no, he's not.
that's where we're full. We're full of players in the power forward position, especially when you look at Theo Pinson, who could play the small forward, power forward position. Like that's where you're crowded at. So I would say, if the Knicks listen,
Mhm.
GMs, if y'all listening, pay attention to those next couple of games, man. And then we're gonna see the Pacers again. So
That Pacers
yeah,
game is I'm marking that on my calendar. That's a revenge game. They gotta come
we
out
got to
and
split.
bust them boys down. That
We got to
game,
come back to
we're gonna
that
have to
because we
show
had
what
an
New York's made
opportunity
of, man.
to keep it close, and
Yeah.
we just, that third quarter was a tough one.
So if we're looking at the next 5 games, 76ers, Bucks, Cavaliers, Raptors, Pacers, I would say 2 and 3. Well, 3 losses, 2 wins. They should beat the Cavaliers and they should be figure out a way to
Well,
beat the
here's the
Pacers.
question though:
Those
who
other
are the
three,
Cavs
I don't
bringing
know.
on? Now,
I don't know.
who's back? Is Love back? Yeah.
Love may or may not be back, but they're definitely
Drummond
gonna have to
a
go up
full
against
game,
Andre
not just
Drummond.
like a quarter or two. And they
Hmm.
also they just won a game. I think they're 1-2. So listen,
Yeah, no,
it's not the
it's not gonna be
preseason
easy. I just think
Cavs,
they
I'll
can
tell
beat
you
them.
that. So
No, no, and the last
yeah.
preseason game where the
So
Knicks blew them
I
out,
mean,
Drummond didn't even play.
I'm looking to see if we can get
So
one out of these 5 games too. I'm not going to say which one. I'm going to say one. And my dice, I'm going to say we get one. Because the Raptors, Siakam, and those
all
guys,
right.
they're not the same. You know what I mean? I'm just going to say that. Don't hold me to that because
Mhm.
they may just come out firing. You know, hold them to that, right?
You know what that means,
But
everybody.
listen, like
Hold them
you
to
got an
that. That's
opportunity, right? You
exactly what
got
it
the
means.
Raptors who aren't at like they lost their bigs, right? They aren't the same. They don't have the same bigs there that they had in the past. Um,
But they still
absolutely,
got guys that are aggressive.
yeah,
Siakam's aggressive, and they got
yeah,
Aaron Baines. You know,
absolutely. I'm
Aaron
not
Baines is
taking anything. They're a
that
strong
guy.
team. But then you've seen the Cavaliers. You know what we've played most of their team. You know what kind of offense they run. So that's a possibility. I say the Raptors are a possibility, and maybe that revenge game against the Pacers. I don't see unless the 76ers come out
Hmm.
tomorrow and not give the ball to Embiid. Listen,
Or listen, maybe something crazy happens, and the Knicks find a way to get some of these bigs on these teams in foul trouble, because that's the difference, right? If the bigs aren't on the floor, then you're basically playing to your advantage, small ball, where
but
you got speed
but
and
that
youth.
means they have to get
So
Mitch in
we'll
the
see.
offense.
We'll see the game plan.
We haven't seen any of that yet.
Yes, yes, and no, no, we got to see what happens,
Yeah,
and chances are we won't see quickly tomorrow. So hopefully we got to figure out. We'll see what Tibbs figures out for how the ball's
yeah.
going to move and who's going to orchestrate the offense. Because I do think even though I'm not high on Elfrid Payton, I think his stock is low
I
right
hope
now.
so.
I think
I
he's going to
really
have a
do
better
hope
game
so
than that.
because
I do have that feeling.
we can't take any
Yeah,
more of him kind of trying to extra facility. You know what I mean? Like he's worried about passing the ball way too often, and I think at this point, when you're getting too close to that rim, they're giving it to you. You gotta let it go. You gotta let it go.
you
And
got to shoot it.
let it fly when you're there. I mean,
Well, that's it. Let it fly. Let's go.
listen.
If we
Um,
let's go, man. If
but
we let's
also
get it.
that pick and roll game with Mitchell is non-existent. Non-existent.
Yeah,
So
no,
what are you
they're
gonna
not going
get? Like
to.
if you do a pick and roll and you get to the basket, who are you looking for? Get the buckets like Quickly did. That's what happened. Quickly was in there. You got the pick and roll with Mitch, or you got the pick and roll with someone. They weren't playing them. Get the bucket. You know.
Well, listen, man. Let's just hope that tomorrow is a different effort than what we saw in the first game. That it's more of a concerted effort to
Right.
put 4 solid quarters of basketball out there, no matter what. Every man's got to step that game up. And if you losing guys or anybody could get hurt tomorrow. The
Hey,
next
wait a
man up.
minute.
So
Was that a
they
Yankee
just got to do what
mantra?
they got to do to
Hey, I'm all for it.
listen.
I'm
I'm
all
a New
for it.
Yorker,
I'm all
baby.
for it.
You know, next. So I'm hoping tomorrow will be a much better effort, and we'll have something to look forward to watching.
Yeah,
But
but
because I don't
our
want to
Knicks
see a
fans are
stinker.
gonna
If
be
I see a
loyal,
stinker, I'm gonna
and
be
we're gonna
mad.
tune in, and we're gonna check. I mean, I think the great thing about us coming on right now and
Yeah,
talking Knicks, and I thank you for inviting me to this sort of thing, and starting this podcast. I think it's awesome. Is that we get an opportunity to talk kind of our talk and kind of give our perspective to the world. You know what I mean? It may be same as
yeah,
some others, and
yeah,
maybe a little
yeah.
different. But I think we try to come with some objectivity, and just trying to call it how we see it,
Yeah.
and I don't know, man. Looking forward to the next one.
Hey, man,
Absolutely.
we're guys that love basketball and we love our Knicks, and that's really that's what matters. And you know what? You all out there, you should be in our corner. Say, listen, these guys they gotta win. You
That's
know
a
why? Because they're
fact.
Knicks fans. They go through enough. That's yeah, man. Yeah, be there for us, man. Root us on, because you know what? This is gonna be
Yeah, no,
an interesting
absolutely.
season, but
Listen,
we're in
like I
for it,
said,
no
I'm
matter
looking
what
forward to
happens.
we
All
start
of it.
breaking out more of these segments, man. And I said in episode one, I think the further
Yeah,
along we
yeah.
get into this, we may want to invite a hater or two on just to see their perspective and then get, some hate on our backs and just kind of like, you know, get that off a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit. So
We
a
love to
little
get that hate
get
off, man.
a little
Yeah,
empty here.
that's
Get
nasty.
that
Ugh,
off me.
who
Come
wants
on,
that, yo?
son.
Get out of here, yo.
Keep it moving.
Yeah, man. I'm with you, 100%. Well, this has been great. I'm happy that we got to put another one in the books. Thanks for tuning in and watching us talk on Knicks, and we look forward to seeing y'all next week and doing it again after we
Forget
upset,
that.
shock the
Let's get
world.
it.
We get
Let's get
forget
it.
that 2 and 3 wins. We're getting 5 wins,
Mitch is
baby.
gonna have the
Knocking these
game of
teams
his year
down,
against
baby.
Embiid tomorrow. Listen, don't be
Listen, we're
surprised
gonna
that
shock
Mitch
the
come out and
world.
get
You're
five
gonna
blocks
see it. It's
tomorrow.
gonna happen.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Hey,
You know.
you know what? I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Let's go. Let's get it.
All right. No, let's go Knicks, baby. All right. Take it easy, y'all. This
Yes,
has been a
sir.
pleasure. This has been Ron, my brother
All right.
John.
Later.
We look forward to doing it next week. We'll see you. Get out of here.